I don't know what was happening.
Maybe there's 21.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to CSz Portland. And to all of our viewers around the world on Zoom, hello. I'm Patrick Short. I'm the general manager here. This is our first storytelling showcase of all time. And we're very happy that folks took the class, have enjoyed the class, and here we now get to see what it's all been processed and now it's product. And it's great. I'm super excited to see this. A couple of things. If you require beer, wine, cider, other things, I'm the person that sells it. If I'm not back at the counter, that means I can't help you. But I will be moving around and jumping around because I'm doing several jobs tonight. A couple other things. This is being live streamed and will be put on to the YouTubes. By being here, you consent to have your image on the YouTubes. Thank you. Awesome. Another thing, I realize this isn't stand-up, but I still feel compelled that this is a supportive and nurturing atmosphere, which is what we try to have. So we're going to support and nurture our storytellers and not heckle them. Yes?
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. I would like to turn it over to our teacher, guru, storyteller, Hannah, and have her introduce our folks. Let's give it up for Hannah.
Thank you all so much for coming. I'm going to keep this very brief. I'm Hannah Michelotti. We're going with first names for everyone this evening. Lauren, for example. Russell is a very tough last name, so we're just going to go with Lauren. I'll do a little bit in between each of the storytellers, and I would like to reiterate, this is just a safe environment. Laugh when you feel like it's appropriate. Cry if you feel like it's appropriate. There's going to be a mix of happy and sad stories. I'm just really proud of what everyone has come together and put out there, because telling your personal stories is one of the hardest things to do, because when we do that, we put ourselves up for judgment versus basic facts, stats, and information. So it's a really brave thing that everyone's taking on. With that, I will hand it over to Lauren, our first storyteller of the night.
Hello, thank you. So in January of 2016, I found myself newly unemployed, laid off from my first ever grown-up full-time job out of college. And the layoff had happened in December, right before Christmas, so it was a real bummer. And I decided that I wanted to try and make lemonade out of this lemon. So being the enterprising sort that I am, I managed to convince my mom to buy me an Amtrak, a 14-day Amtrak rail pass so that I could travel around the country. I was still pretty broke, being a recent grad, and couldn't afford the ticket myself, but I convinced her that I would pay for lodging and meals for myself along the way, and most importantly, that I was going to be so safe. Like, I was researching timetables and schedules and planning all of these details, and she had a full itinerary of where I was going to be and when, and I was really on the ball, so she agreed to buy me the ticket, and I went on my merry way, starting in Portland and going down to Los Angeles on the train, and that is a 36-hour ride. So I'm on the train overnight and sleeping in the chairs. I feel like this is a romantic journey across America that I'm embarking on. I'm so excited, and I realize, crap, in all the excitement, I forgot to book my hotel for when I get to LA. So in a fit of panic, I grab my phone, I go to hostelworld.com, I find this little place called the Stay on Main, and someone knows what that is. And it has like a 4.6 out of 5-star reviews or whatever, and it's really cheap, it's centrally located downtown, and I'm great, done deal. So then I make the most of my train ride. I go down to the sightseeing lounge car where I find a table of kids who are about my age, students, and we're all hanging out playing cards, and one of the women that I'm sitting with happens to be a native Angelino, so she's, where are you staying in LA? And I said, oh, a youth hostel downtown, and she goes, not the Hotel Cecil, right? And I was like, no, I don't think that's what it was called. I can double check why. And she goes, oh, no reason. And I was like, bitch, you cannot have that reaction to information I've shared with you and then not tell me why that's warranted. So she explains that a couple years ago there was an incident and a guest of that hotel died, and it was very, tragic and mysterious, but not to worry, it was like pretty isolated and they've beefed up security and it should be fine. And I go check my receipt and it's not the Hotel Cecil. I'm staying at the Stay on Main. So I'm like, okay, sounds like I dodged a bullet. I'll be on the lookout. And I get to LA, I'm hitting the beach, I'm walking Hollywood Boulevard, having a great time. I spend one night at the hotel, and my second morning there, I step out and I notice that my building is labeled the Stay on Main, but there is a mosaic tile embedded into the sidewalk that says Hotel Cecil. And my heart dropped because I'm fucked. I'm like, I know this is not good. In my heart, I know this, but I didn't want to Google it right away. So I held off until I got back to my hostel room that night, and I'm sitting in bed. I have a roommate from Korea who is also exploring America, and we're talking a little bit, and at this point I pull up my phone and I start to Google Hotel Cecil, and I don't even have to finish the sentence. Google autofills my search for me with Hotel Cecil murders, deaths, suicide, killing, American Horror Story, serial killer, and I'm getting hit from all angles like, oh my God, what? I don't even know where to go first. It has its own Wikipedia page, obviously, as well as a Wikipedia page dedicated to incidents at the Hotel Cecil. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, stayed at this hotel while he was committing his serial murders. A copycat from Europe flew over to stay in this hotel and also killed a bunch of people. A lot of people throwing themselves off the building in the 20s. I mean, really gruesome stuff. And I'm not going to sleep tonight, obviously. I learned more about the poor woman that my train companion had told me about. Her body was found in the water tank after guests complained of a bad smell in the water and taste in the water. You've probably seen the Netflix documentary. Yeah, I know. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. Okay, I need to get out of here. Like, I gotta do this one more night and then I'm gone first thing in the morning. But I'm on the lookout for ghosts. Now I'm wondering, I'm typing in Night Stalker serial killer to Google Translate. Like, should I tell my Korean roommate? Maybe she's the ghost. Like, my brain is gone. Left the building, and fortunately, I did not experience any hauntings or spookiness or scariness other than my own mental turbulence all night. I'm a big proponent of personal hygiene, but I did skip out of there without showering or brushing my teeth. I figured I would do that elsewhere. And most importantly, after I safely made my way out of the hostel, onto the train, onto my next journey, I said, I'm gonna wait till I'm home to tell my mom about this one.
I will never forget when Lauren told that story for the first time. It we were enraptured. We were like, I'm sorry, can you tell us more about what happened? And then all the details just flooded out, the mosaic, we were stunned. She had this in her pocket the whole time, which was so cool. Next up, we have Jamie, who consistently, every week of class would come in and go, oh, you know, I just don't want to know what I'm going to tell. But this thing happened to me last weekend. Always had a story, every single weekend. And that's where stories come from. It's from the mundane, the average, the usual, taking a trip, or what happened to Jamie. So with that, I will give you Jamie.
I'm going to move this over to here. Oh, you're welcome.
Although others can use it if they want.
Yes, definitely. You don't have to hold the microphone. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Wow. Oh, yeah. Here we go. I remember now. I don't want any pets. Or I've adopted my mother's philosophy, which is I don't want anything I have to feed. And that's my philosophy. So fast forward to 2019. I moved into my house. I got a house. My first house on my own. Yes, right? And a couple of days after I move in, I hear this scratching at the door. There was just a couple boxes in the house. There's scratching at the door. At my back door. I open the door, and there's this monster laying down or at the front door. It's a gray and white little cat. I was like, what are you doing here? So I open the door to shoo him away, and this cat just runs in the house and plops right down on the kitchen floor. Like, what? Get out! Get out! So so that day I just hung out for a minute, and I kept the door open to maybe the cat would go out. Never did. So I have to kind of gently ease the cat out the door. Ease the cat out the door. Close the door. All good, right? A couple days later, scratching again. Like, what do you want? I open the door again and try to shoo the cat away. And again, this little monster, right on the front. Like, okay, this has to be the previous owner's cat, right? It has to be. Because they must have left the cat, they're going to come back and get the cat. Nope, did not. And it's a friendly cat, just a friendly cat, I can pet her if I want to, which I didn't, try not to get too close, You can pet her if you want to or whatever, pick her up. Anyway, get the cat out. So a couple of days later go by again, the cat comes back yet again, scratching the door. This time I go outside. And my neighbor's outside, and I pick the cat up, and I say, is this your cat? And he says, nope, it's not my cat. Well, like that day, I went over to my other neighbor's house, knocked on the door, and lady opens the door and said, is this your cat? She's like, no. But then the kids run up and they see who it is at the door, and they see me holding this cat. And they're like, Daisy! Yeah, this is your cat. So I pushed the cat in the door, all good, right? No problem at all. The cat is an outdoor cat, so every now and then the cat comes to my house, whatever. I'll let her in sometimes because, I'm a nice guy. And I shoo her out. At least I know whose cat it is now, right? So winter time comes along, and it's cold, wet, and rainy, and snowing sometimes. And the cat's outside. I can't let the cat stay outside. So I'll let the cat in again. It's like, come on in and out. I might give her a little food. I'm not a total monster like this thing is. So, I let her in. And, one of the times it was snowing really hard, I let the cat in. I let her stay overnight. The next day, I say, hey, it's snowing and wet outside. Here's your cat. It's not my cat. I can't. So, can't take this cat. Nothing I want to feed. So I just let the cat stay in for like a day or two, and then she wants to go outside because there's no place for her to go to the bathroom, whatever, inside. So keep on fast forwarding. Fast forwarded to springtime comes around, and this is a back and forth thing. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to, I could have took her to the Humane Society, but I decided not to do that because my older daughter, she's like, no, don't take her, and my son's like, we'll take her, whatever. Like, okay, whatever. whatever the case may be. I won't take her to the Humane Society. And it's not my cat, it's not my place to take her to the Humane Society. So one day I'm outside, the cat comes running up, and I pick her up, and she's like, gained a lot of weight. I'm like, what? You gained a lot of weight. And, I don't know what's going on. So, yes, you all know. It's a girl cat. She's pregnant. And I'm like, okay, Humane Society it is. I can't do this anymore. My daughter convinced me to keep the cat. Let's just keep her one more day, and we'll take her tomorrow. Yes. I'm like, okay, you got it. One more day. No problem. So I let her stay one more day. I wake up in the middle of the night because I hear this clawing or meowing or whatever. And I look at the end of my bed, and the cat's at the end of my bed. Don't sleep, get out. This is my bed. No, get out. So a couple hours later, I hear more scratching, it's like meowing sound. What is that? I woke up, look around, I open the closet, I go in my closet, and there's not only one cat, there's another kitten, right on my gym bag. She had her kittens on my gym bag. Like, no, this is my bag. This is my stuff. So I lay back down and I'm thinking, what do I do? I fall back to sleep briefly and wake up and there's like 2 more cats. So it's it's a total of 5 kittens. And she's gray and white, and she had 4 black kittens and 1 gray and white kitten. So I was like, I didn't know what were we gonna do. So I talked to my daughter about it. She said, let's just keep them for a couple of days. Like, you keep them for a couple of days. I don't want anything to do with it. So, we put the kittens in her room in a box. And the cat was okay, Daisy was okay to let us move the kittens. We moved them in there for a couple of days or whatever. And 5 weeks went by. This is only going to be another week. So 5 weeks go by. I'm laying in bed on this. I remember this day vividly. Sunday morning, I heard this meowing downstairs. Meow, meow. And Daisy, she was quiet. She never meowed for anything. So I go downstairs and she's writhing on the floor. She couldn't move her back legs and she's moving and she had poop all over the. And I was like, I called my daughter and I said, you need to take her to the vet right now. So she took her to the vet and we had to put her down. I paid for it and all of that. Yeah, so we put her down, and so now we have these kittens, and they cremated her. We have ashes I have ashes now and everything. So anyway, I have these 5 kittens that I have to take care of now. So I was like, okay, I looked up bottle feeding kittens and all this other stuff. What am I going to do? So they were weaned just enough to where they could eat on their own. So I just had bought this little baby formula for cats. I don't know what it is. That's what it was. Mixed it all up and stirred it all together. And they would eat or whatever. We ended up rehoming 3 of the kittens. And now I'm the proud, now I'm not going to say owner because we have 2 of the kittens at home. And their names are Abby and Abby. Or as I like to call them, the baby and pumpkin face. And I still don't want any pets. Thank you. Oh yes, here's a picture of the right. A picture of a couple of the kittens.
This happened to me the other day, or the last weekend. I got this story about cats, and that was the cat story. And Jamie is the kindest, nicest person. So, of course, he's now a cat dad, if I can say that.
Yes.
Yes. Next up we have Keely, and I'll remember the first time we heard this story from Keely, every single one of us could empathize because she calls back to a time when we were perhaps all teenagers and how we acted as teenagers and things that we did. And it was fascinating to hear her take on this and to get some more insight on who she is. With that, I give you Keely.
I just wanted to speak into that for a second. So I've always been a rule follower growing up. I never wanted to disappoint my parents, and I didn't want to deal with the consequences. My best friend Amber was also very much the same, a little more adventurous, and she got to do more because her parents weren't religious like mine were. And growing up in a small town, St. Helens, there wasn't a lot to do. Oh, God. Yeah. What am I forgetting now? No, I don't want notes. I don't know where they are. Okay, where are we going with this? Yes. So I never really lied to, I'm not saying I didn't lie to my parents, but it was just never anything serious. So, yeah.
When was the first time you lied to your parents?
Some of the stupid lies I told my parents were going to be that I finished my homework when I hadn't. I was going to finish it 5 minutes before it was due, but I wanted to hang out with friends, so I said it was due. I lied about going to a PG-13 movie when I was 16 and drove myself to the movie theaters. And then I lied about hanging out with boys when I started hanging out with them. And about a week and a half after hanging out with said boys, Amber and I got it in our minds that it would be a great idea to go to an under 21 club in Portland we found about. And this would be something that we both had to lie to our parents about because it's Portland, it's late at night, it's a bunch of reckless teenagers, and we were going to be home after curfew. So, we needed a plan if we wanted to make this happen. And it was a well thought out plan. Let me think of the plan. What were we doing?
Where you would stay.
Yes, where did we stay? Oh, that was the other part I forgot. I never lied to my parents about anything serious, and I never lied about where I slept until I was 16. So this plan to go to the under 21 club, we were going to be out past curfew, so we had to find somewhere else to stay for the night. I said I was going to stay at her house, and she said she was going to stay at my house. You know, the classic plan. And because we were such goody two-shoes, our parents we never gave them any reason not to trust us. They believed us. And because we had known each other since our Sunshine preschool days, we had always been going to sleepovers. Our parents didn't feel the need to communicate every single time we had a sleepover. So that was where we said we were going to stay. The rest of the plan was going to be, we needed to print out directions, MapQuest directions, to the club in Portland because we had never been there. And second to that, we were going to leave about an hour ahead of time, so that, because it was a 45-minute drive, and it gave us time to pick up our dates, and also gave us time to park downtown. So, and then we were going to have, the rest of the night was going to be a fun night at the club, last hurrah before the end of summer. And then we were going to stay at our dates, the boys, friends' boathouse. We had been there previously. They had couches we could stay on, it was chill, and that was going to be the night. And then we'd go home the next day, parents none the wiser. So, the day of our plans started with us just hanging out, and then we got on the road right on time, an hour before it opened. And we get on the road, going on the highway, and we finally pass the last light in St. Helens. And I'm like, woohoo, we're actually doing this. It's something fun and exciting we're getting to do. And then we come to a dead stop on the highway. And I'm thinking, oh God, who crashed on the highway? Like, I hope everyone's okay and everyone's fine, no one got hurt, but just get your car out of the way so we can get going, because we're on a time schedule. I don't like being late, so I wanted to be right on time. And then 10 minutes pass, and we still haven't moved. All right, what's going on? We're trying to text people, figure out what's happening. Another 20 minutes pass, and we still haven't gone anywhere. And then fire trucks come blazing by with their lights and sirens, and I am thinking, oh no, what is happening? And then finally, after another 20 minutes, we start to move. Slowly, but we're moving. Thank God. And we are being funneled into the center lane of the highway, making progress, and then we're approaching what has caused us to be stuck on the highway for the last hour. And we see it, and it is the local Les Schwab has caught fire. And it is just billowing in smoke, and we later find out that there was different chemicals that were spilled, that then caught on fire, that then the tires caught on fire, and it took a lot of manpower to put out said fire, and it was, I can't believe my eyes, what is happening here? And oh my gosh, I can't believe it's wasted our time. But we're past it, and the club is still open for, plenty of hours. Let's still try to go to this, put it behind us and learn about it later. But then we go to pick up our dates, and they inform us that they are no longer staying at the boathouse, but are staying at their friend's house, which means we can't stay with them. So our plans are crumbled, and we just scrap going to the club altogether. It's just not worth it at this point. Anxiety is too high. And we don't know what to do, but we decide on seeing a movie, the four of us together, the third one that week. And because there's nothing else to do in a small town besides see a movie or walk through Walmart. So we see Total Recall, which is just a crazy movie. I don't know what's happening, and in the back of my mind, I am still like, where am I sleeping tonight? So that's fun. And then we drop them off and say goodnight, and then me and Amber are discussing our options. We could spend the night in our car, but that sounds like a terrible idea. That should be plan Z, last option. We could stay at her dad's house, since he was never a part of the original lie. But we think he would ask too many questions, and he has great communication with her mom, so bad idea there too. Same with trying to stay at any of our other friends' house. It's late, or late for making plans to stay at someone's house, at least. Again, too many questions, don't want to stay there. So we settle on going back to my parents' house and staying there. And we think about texting just to be like, oh, this is what's the change of plans, but that sounds too rehearsed, and we don't want to tip our hand of what we were trying to do that night. And we also think my parents will be the most gullible to our lie, which, if asked questions, our lie was going to be, we wanted to play the Wii and have the extra space at my house because I had a whole basement to myself. And so that's the plan. And we drive to my parents' house, and we walk through the door. My mom's in the kitchen cooking or doing something, and we slip down the stairs, no questions asked. And so the first time I tried to sneak out and stay out all night as a teenager, I ended up back at my house an hour before curfew, my parents none the wiser to my rebellious plans.
Similar to Lauren, when
when Keely told the story for the first time, we kept asking questions. That's when we found out the Les Schwab was on fire. That's when we found out that there was all this consternation about where she was going to sleep. Just go home. It's okay, your parents will let you in. And sure enough, no questions asked. So there were a lot of plans for no plans and a lot of anxiety to just go back home. It resonated with me because I was similar as a kid. Like, I was never going to sneak out. And I was also not allowed to watch PG-13 till I was 17. Yes, thank you, Aunt Nancy. Next up, we have Bill. Bill, similarly to some of our other students, the more we ask questions, the more we learn, the more that was teased out. Bill has a beautiful cadence when he speaks, and I really look forward to all of you hearing this story. Give it up for Bill.
Let's see how this works. I have to use my hand. Can you hear me now?
You might want, no, actually, I have to unmute it. So I'll do that for you.
You're on mute, Bob.
All right, now.
Can you hear me now? Yes?
I want to turn it up towards your mouth just a little bit. Perfect. Great.
Okay. Better? Is that better?
Yes.
I will speak louder also. I used to argue with my car's navigation system, but that changed after a summer drive in the English countryside. I like to drive in England, actually. Mind you, not London. My 401k wouldn't cover the damage I would do driving in London. But outside of London and near the large cities, it really is nice. It's relaxing for me. You see a lot of countryside. You get to go when and where you want. And normally it goes really well. But one day, the navigation system and I were not having a good day. And the voice is always a she, right? She had sent me on a 2.5-hour drive when it should have only taken 30 minutes. And I was upset because I was losing, vacation time. It turns out that the no toll filter had been turned on. Now, I didn't turn it on, so I have to assume. But anyway, she decided rather than take the bridge over the inlet, we should go around the inlet. And so my morning was lost. So we were having a discussion. Going along fine, getting towards the end of the day, I had put in my final destination. And driving along, as I say, and she said, take the next left. I said, the left that's right here or the next left? And I missed the left that's right here and went to the next left. And she said, at your earliest convenience, please make a U-turn. I said, okay, fine, I missed it, I'm sorry, but I don't need the attitude, all right? So, made the U-turn, came back around, she said, turn right. Like right now, all right, again, I missed it, I'm sorry. A little bit more notice would have been helpful. There was a gate there, I didn't want to crash into the gate, so please. There was a long silence, and then rerouting. Okay, fine, I've missed the turn, I get it, okay. So, a couple of easy turns for me. She says, continue straight for the next 30 kilometers. That's fair, that's enough warning, great. And I can't really do anything but go straight because she has sent me down a narrow English lane, bordered on both sides by high walls, covered in vines, stone walls. I'm zipping along, I can see dead straight. I'm zipping along at 40 miles an hour. The sound of the vines ticking on the side mirrors, both side mirrors. Moving along great, until a car is coming towards me. Hit the brakes. Really? Back up to the nearest turnout, just wide enough for the other car to pass with our side mirrors just barely not kissing. Continue straight ahead. Thank you. Continue on. No further mishaps. The walls give way to open fields. So English countryside is beautiful. So farm fields, low fences, low hedges, a roadside. Watch for hedgehogs. All right, cool. Now I have a picture in my mind of a hedgehog, this little small spiky lump sort of thing. Very, very cute. I've never met a hedgehog face to face. And so I don't want our first encounter to be me behind the wheel of a car. So I'm keeping an eye out for hedgehogs. Continue straight. The scenery changes from fields to trees. So it's either a small forest or stand of trees, and I see the deer sign. And I'm thinking, deer's no problems in, but then I'm thinking, well, maybe this is like the legendary red English deer. Or maybe it's a giant stag from the tales of King Arthur. And so now I'm driving and I'm keeping my eye out for a deer leaping out of the bushes, just like you see on those signs, right, where the deer is majestically leaping. No such deer. Continue straight. Yes, got it. The scenery changes again, so the trees are gone, but now they're not really hills, they're mounds beside the road, just sort of scattered around, apparently. I'm like, all right, that's odd. The next road sign, tank crossing. Whoa, wait, what are you doing? Where are you taking me? And I noticed that there are, in fact, tank tracks across the road, and these mounds are for tank driving training, where they, right? So now I'm going a little bit faster, because in my mind's eye, I'm imagining a battle tank just flying over the road. Faster. Continue straight. Yes, fine. Straight. I have no choice. The next sign. Artillery rounds may pass overhead. So what the hell? You're trying to kill me? Pedal to the metal. I am going fast. Again, there are no turnoffs. I am just dead straight. I am looking for hedgehogs. I am looking for deer. I am looking for tanks. I am looking for incoming. I'm looking for oncoming. You have arrived. Finally. Finally, fortunately, no hedgehog, no deer, no tanks, no artillery rounds, but it did arrive at my hotel. Since then, I've treated my navigation system with a lot of respect. When she suggests a faster route, thank you very much, I appreciate the consideration. When I have a question about maybe a turn that she's suggesting, I very politely, are you sure? Because I don't want my navigation system to be in a bad mood, and I don't want to get rerouted. Thank you.
Bill had the best tales of traveling out of anyone that I know, and used language that made me feel like I could picture actually being there. The ticking of the vines on the side mirrors. I was like, oh, I get this. I know where we are. And the nuisance of a driving app that says, make a U-turn, make a U-turn. Next up, we have Tally, who, interestingly enough, told part of the story that you're going to hear tonight about an animal. And interestingly enough, it's one of those stories that you all probably have as well, where there's a lot more to the story than just the animal, or just the piece that you tell to friends or you tell to family members, and the rest you kind of keep to yourself. It's not for everyone to hear. So this is a very powerful story, and I'm really proud she's sharing it tonight. Welcome, Tally. Thank you.
12 years ago, I got one of those phone calls that nobody ever wants to get. My mom's calling, and the things she starts saying feel like bombs falling, exploding one by one. She says, my brother Daniel's in the hospital because he had a stroke, and he's not expected to survive. At first, I'm not comprehending. I think maybe she's mistaken. She means he's been in a car accident or something. Because 36-year-olds don't have strokes. Daniel's only 18 months older than me. Growing up with such a small age difference, we were super competitive with each other, and we were also incredibly close. We did everything together. We were Superman and Wonder Woman for Halloween a couple of times. He loved heavy metal. He wore a lot of black and big leather motorcycle boots. He was never afraid to be himself. And I really admired that about him. We've been together side by side through everything. My parents' divorce, school milestones, our own breakups. And I thought we'd continue living our lives just like that. Daniel just a step ahead, like lighting the way for me. I get to the hospital and I find out what happened. The night before, Daniel and my mother had been at dinner, and afterward, back at her house, he says he doesn't feel well. He gets up, she notices he's slurring his words and swaying on his feet. He collapses. She calls 911 and he's rushed to the ER. He did have a stroke, and the hemorrhage is deep in his brainstem. A stroke like this is usually fatal, and in Daniel's case, he had no movement, no brain activity, and he wasn't breathing on his own. His heart continued to beat, but that was the only sign of life in his body. The doctors say they're going to keep running tests, but we know it doesn't look good. We also know we can't make these terrible decisions about life support without my younger brother and my dad. And I tell my mom, I'll make those calls. First, I call my dad. He's living in Guam at this time. And now I feel like I'm the one blowing up his life when I have to tell him what I just learned. And I have to tell him to get on a plane as soon as possible. Then I call my younger brother, Justin. He's active duty military, so it takes a couple of phone calls to get through to him. And when I do, repeating these words again just feels surreal, because I don't even believe it yet. Justin's on the East Coast, and he's able to get to us by late that night. My dad, coming from Guam, though, it's going to take him a couple of days. And those are some terrible, dark days. It feels like a missile is headed straight towards my family, and we can't get out of the way. The morning my dad arrives, I pick him up, and we go right to the hospital. And my dad sees Daniel for the first time. Hooked up to all the machines, ventilator, and also by this time he has this ice blanket covering him because his body can't regulate its own temperature anymore. And his skin is burning hot to the touch. After my dad gets the chance to talk to the doctors face to face, we make the decision to let Daniel go. And when he passes away, just after 3 p.m. on August 19th, I was right there. I was holding his hand. I was right by his side. And afterward, I feel his absence everywhere. It's like every time I turn around, there's something he's not there for. My birthday comes and goes, he's not there. We were supposed to visit Justin together that fall. That can't happen. It just feels so wrong. He was my big brother. And I thought he was invincible. Like Superman, you know? Summer ends and fall arrives. And I am just staring down the barrel of the holiday season, you know. It's gonna be the first Thanksgiving without Daniel, and I'm dreading it. On a cold, rainy Sunday in mid-November, I'd been at my mom's house that day visiting. About 8 p.m., I decide to head home. I get in my car, just start driving down her street, and all of a sudden, I see this flash of white dart out in front of me. I hit the brakes. I'm pretty sure it's a dog, and I decide to get out and check. Get out. I see it there in the street. It's a little dog, and it's staring right at me. I crouch down in the rain, and I call it. This little dog jumps into my arms. I'm surprised, but I catch it. And then I can feel the little body, all skin and bones. I scoop it up, head right back to my mom's house, straight into the bathtub, and then I can see it. It's a male dog, and he's in bad shape. He's dirty, his fur's all matted. There are rocks in the mats, they're so bad. I try to wash them out, but they won't budge. So I just grab a pair of scissors and I have to just cut them off. And while I'm doing all this, he starts falling asleep on the bathroom floor. He's not shaking, he's not freaking out. He's falling asleep right there. And I'm beginning to realize, this is totally my dog, right? He's obviously starving. He has no collar. I take him to the vet the next day. He has no microchip. He's about 13 now. His name is Bob. I call him Bobby if you see him around. He's the best. He's the sweetest, most loving dog you'll ever meet. I call him my Velcro dog because he always wants to be attached to me. Physical touch is his love language. It's what we always say. Now I tell a lot of people the story of how I found Bob. Classmates, co-workers, most people who know me know the story I usually tell about how I came along at just the right moment and I saved him. But the truth is, we were both in bad shape that night. And Bob came along just when I needed him most. Because after Daniel's death, I was not doing well. I was so sad. My grief was like an enormous darkness, and I just felt lost. But suddenly, out of nowhere, this little creature appears, like a little lightning bolt. I like to think maybe the universe sent me a gift, a small beacon of hope and love, just bright enough to chase away the darkness and light the way again. Thank you.
I think I have heard that story 4 times, and I cry every single time. Again, it's one of those stories that you can tell and only tell a piece to certain people, but there's so much more that lives in the story, and that's what's so cool about sharing that with people on a stage and letting everyone in, because we've experienced loss, and we've experienced love, and we've experienced all these big emotions. Next up, we have Michael, and Michael, similar to Jamie, was always like, yeah, I've got a story on that exercise. Yeah, I've got one on that one too. Just like a book of stories. I don't know how many stories are in Michael, but Michael has thousands, and I can't wait for you all to hear what he has tonight and listen to his radio voice. With that, I give you Michael.
Thank you. I can assure you, this is only show and tell. I just want to talk about being accepted. You know, it's something that we all share. We all share wanting to be a part of something, to be seen, to be welcomed, to have a place, to feel like we belong. I bring this out here to represent a symbol that is about as old as, I don't know, time itself. When you invite someone, when you welcome someone, you set a place for them. You offer them a chair. When you invite someone to dinner, you offer them a chair. You offer them a place. And in structures, they have chairpersons, a chairman or a chairwoman, and that's their place, that establish where they are. The point I'm trying to make is, I'm a dog walker. Okay? And being a dog walker in Portland, you find a lot of weird stuff. And sometimes that weird stuff has a message. So for the past couple of weeks, actually for the past month, when I was walking my 3 rescue dogs, because that's how much love I need. I surround myself with so many dogs. It's Kalika, and Tyson, and Ranger, and all of them are different breeds, but they love going outside and taking a walk in this park. So going to this park, I experienced different people. You know, I've been going to this park for 4 years, and it's the one place in Portland that I actually feel welcome. all the Black Lives Matter signs, this park has none. But I feel welcome there. I feel like I can go there and I can just walk my dogs and enjoy myself and have a good time. And that's what I do. One day, there was something sticking out of the bushes. And I didn't know what it was. And I peeked at it. And I was like, something's there. I don't know if I should approach it or touch it or go near it. It's a dog park. And I told you, there's tons of stuff in this dog park. So I get my dogs out of there. I go back the next day. But on this day, I was feeling particularly out of place. I was going through things in my personal life where I felt like I wasn't welcome in the community where I thought I supposed to have been welcome. You get where I'm going? I see head shaking. So that means you get where I'm going. So in this state, I was pretty sad. Very sad. In tears. Actually. I know it's hard to believe, but this guy cries. Okay? So that's what I was doing in the park. And I had someone approach me with a dog. But the dog came first. The person came second. Because, dogs run the show. Dogs rule the world. And the dog came and he wanted to play with my dogs. And I'm like, okay. And then I got this frantic woman screaming, my doggy got out of the yard and, I don't know what to do. And the dog came out of the yard and I'm like, okay, it's cool, relax. You're scaring my dogs. Screaming and yelling, acting all wild and crazy. I said, relax. Just take your dog, go away. Here's a leash, carry extra leash. Take that with you. But I felt bad. I felt like I was being rude to her because I'm not normally that way, but I was in this state of mind where I didn't feel like being around anyone. I needed my peace of mind. And then I looked around. There it was, just staring at me, saying, hey, come here, take me. Maybe this is what you need. If you have this, you always got a seat. Shirley Chisholm said that. If you have one of these, you're always invited. You're always welcome. So when I have this, I don't have to worry about not being welcome. I don't have to worry about not having a seat because I bring this and everybody goes, hey, there's a black man with a folding chair. Nobody's going to give me a problem, right? I don't know. But, seriously, this is just like, it's plain, it got tape on it, it's ugly, I had to clean it up, and I don't know where it came from, but it's fine. And I'm going to normalize people like myself, who look like me, can walk around with folding chairs. Thank you very much.
One thing I try to teach is perspective and the power of a metaphor. And that was one thing that from the get-go Michael understood was having a different perspective on something as simple as a chair and building it out into something we can all relate to and understand. If you've got a chair, you're invited to the party. Next up, we have Stephanie. Interestingly enough, Stephanie, I think, came in and said, I don't know that I have a lot of stories. That's usually what I hear. I don't have a lot of stories. And then the more we got to hear from her, we got to hear these big, big stories. So she's got a really big, cool story that I don't think any of you will expect. Give it up for Stephanie.
I remember the fateful day walking through Target with my mom. Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm gonna swing you.
I broke the mic. Okay. All right. I gotta move around. Okay. We're at Target together, right? I remember the fateful day walking through Target with my mom to buy my very first bra. Not because I needed one, but because the next day at school was scoliosis screening day. Yeah, I see some heads nodding. We remember. How do you forget? So I'm there in the locker room. Nothing feels more vulnerable than a middle school locker room. So it's my turn. I take my shirt off. I bend over. The nurses put their fancy protractor or level or however they measure scoliosis on my back. And I'm the only person I know who has to leave with a yellow medical slip of paper. And I give it to my mom. A week later, I'm getting fitted for my very own back brace. So I am developing the curves, just not the curves that I wanted. So now I have to navigate the throes of middle school with glasses, with braces, with frizzy hair, and now my very own turtle shell of a back brace. So I wanted to hide. I wanted to hide away in that turtle shell. I became a shell of myself. And middle schoolers are mean, right? Girls in the locker room called me Scully, and the heartthrob of the middle school turned me into a knock-knock joke and knocked on my back brace and ran away. It's kind of clever now that I think of it, but it's mean. I know, but I know that I wasn't alone in navigating the awkwardness of adolescence and a changing body and hormones. I know some of my friends stood in front of the mirror wanting to be thinner, some taller. I stood in front of the mirror with my profile looking and so frustrated and trying to contort my back to be the right shape, to be straight, and my shirt seams were constantly 2 inches crooked, and somehow everybody in this room, it looks like, made it out of middle school alive. But inevitably, with the aggressive nature of my curve, it was putting some pressure on the vital organs and my lungs, and I knew that it was a matter of time and surgery was inevitable. So, but like most things in my life, I put it off till my junior year, not of high school, but of college. So it's my junior year of college. I come home to the worst summer of my existence. 13-hour operation, 2 rods, 20 screws. I wake up with nerve damage and the right side of my entire body is numb. And I'm like, one of these things is not like the other. I can't walk. I can't grip a fork. I can't hold a pencil. I'm an art major in college. I'm right-handed. I'm panicking. I'm a photographer shooting weddings to pay for school, and my next summer is booking out, and I can't even pick up a camera at this point. That's the state I'm in. My mom actually helped me log roll out of bed. I wanted to take a picture of the sunset out of my window, so I'm holding my camera in my left hand, and with my right hand, I don't have the strength to push down the trigger button of my camera, so my mom helps me push down my finger to take a picture. So, did I say I was panicking? Kind of panicking. But gradually, my feeling came back, my legs came back first. I regained my strength, but to this day, my forearm is still completely numb. But after a week in the hospital, I get home, I get settled into my childhood bedroom, and I log roll out of bed, I find a mirror, I hold it up to look into the mirror because I want to see my scar for the first time. And I start crying. Not because I have a gaping scar and I look like a freaking Wolverine, but because I have shoulder blades. Like, even shoulder blades for the first time. And I'm higher than a kite at this point. Like, I'm hallucinating that people are camping in my backyard, and I am weeping, looking, and my mom comes up, she's, "Are you okay? Are you hurt? Is it too much? I can take you back." And I'm like, "No, Mom, I am so beautiful. Look at these shoulder blades, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. Anyway, summer comes to an end. I go back to school. Again, I have a back brace, but this is like a little bit embarrassing back brace 2.0, but I've grown a little self-confidence since middle school. This time I have to wear my back brace over my clothes to work, to class. Some guy asked me if I'm into powerlifting, and I'm wearing a powerlifting belt. I wish. Do you want to hit the gym later? But I graduate as a photographer. I'm constantly asking people to step in front of my camera and be vulnerable with me and tell me their story. So it's Brene Brown is very popular at the time. She still is, right? The Queen of Vulnerability. I'm reading The Power of Vulnerability, and I think, okay, you've convinced me. You got in my head. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try out vulnerability. And so I decided to do a self-portrait series. Turn the camera on myself, and I do a portrait series about my back and my story, just for myself, just to post on my blog as like a journal. A year later, I get an email from a mom in Minnesota, and she tells me about her daughter, Mary, who just had the same scoliosis spinal fusion surgery that I had, and she's very depressed. She's had to give up contact sports. Her birthday's coming up, and as a pick-me-up, Courtney, the mother, decides, I'm going to fly us out to Seattle to do a photo shoot like the one that you did on your blog. And I am so honored. I am so humbled. My jaw's on the floor. I want to roll out the red carpet for this girl. It gives my 14-year-old self a second chance. So I line up a makeup artist, a hairstylist, a florist, a dress rental, a studio. Cairo 7 News gets a hold of the story, and they do a newscast. They follow us around all day. And so we had a beautiful experience. We did the shoot, and then that same night, I decided to surprise Mary. Courtney, her mom's in on it, and we have a whole gallery of images. So I'm feverishly editing and printing and hanging this gallery wall for them while they're sightseeing. And they come in and they meet me there, and they get to see these beautiful, empowering images. And my favorite photo actually came to me in a dream 2 days before the shoot. I know that sounds so foo-foo, and that's never happened to me before, and it's never happened again. But I had a dream that our hair was braided together and our scars were gold. And so I asked the makeup artist to gold leaf our scars. And the idea, I've been reading a lot about kintsugi, the Japanese art form kintsugi, where pottery that's broken is pieced back together and sealed with gold. And it becomes more beautiful and more unique and more strong. And so that's a metaphor for us. We started the day as strangers, and we ended like sisters. Our bond was stronger than our titanium backs. But too many of us feel broken, and our scars are what connects us. Our scars are what make us unique and beautiful and strong. And finally, it's taken so much time, but finally, my body and I are on the same team. I'm not consumed with what it looks like anymore, but what the strength that it carries. This titanium spine has carried all of my belongings on my back through backpacking trips a dozen places. And this titanium spine and these scars have carried 4 pregnancies and delivered 3 precious babies. And my 3 favorite piggyback riders to this day. And my perspective has changed when I look in the mirror. I used to see a body that I hated. And then I saw a body that I learned to love. Those shoulder blades, am I right? And then now I see the resilience. I feel the resilience in my body. And I see the strength in my scars and my golden repair. Thank you.
Another thing I try to teach is specifics, and Stephanie just nailed it with screws, how many rods, specifics about people's names. That's what makes the story really come alive, along with perspective, which you also saw in that story as well. Next up, and finally, we have Sharon. Sharon came into class with this story, I believe, like ready to go out of the gates. And from the get-go, this story was polished, it was clever, it had great elements, and I think we all couldn't get enough of it, and we were like, where have you been hiding in this classroom? Because everyone was very shy when we started out, and Sharon was like, yeah, I'll tell my story. So let's hear it, Sharon. Come on up and tell your story. I'm going to cord you.
So one thing you need to know about me is my LinkedIn profile is a hot mess. And this is because since I was very, very small, I have always wanted to do all the things. And there are lots of things to do, and I'm trying them all. I mean, when I was growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut, and a ballerina, and a paleontologist, and a starting forward for the LA Lakers. And the list keeps growing. So in 2010, I'm working in Salinas, California. Salinas is known as the salad bowl of the world because of all the agriculture that grows there. And through my job, they send me to a class called Ag Knowledge. And the purpose of this class is to teach urban people like me about the importance of agriculture and what goes on to get a better understanding of what's happening in the Salinas Valley. And I think, well, this is cool. You know, I love learning new things. This is a whole new field. And it is a whole new field, literally. So every month we go out. We go on these field trips. And we go to mushroom farms, we go to lettuce packing plants, and we go to a winery. And our last day for this class is scheduled to take place at a dairy farm. And the name of the dairy farm is Moonglow Dairy. It just sounds like a magical place. Now, mind you, as I said, I'm an urban person, I'm a city girl. Grew up in Los Angeles, California. I was 20 years old before I ever saw a live cow. And that was a life-changing experience for me. Because they're just those eyes. How do you not love a cow? To this day, even when no matter where I'm driving, if I'm passing by a field of cows, I say, cow! Even when I'm the only person in the car. So I'm super excited about Dairy Day. And I'm excited because I know we're going to tour the dairy, we're going to see milking, and I have also heard through the grapevine that there is a demonstration of artificial insemination that we're going to get in this class. I'm like, this is going to be cool. I have also heard from some other employees that they ask for volunteers to do this. So as Dairy Day is finally here, and we're going towards the bus, and I sidle up to one of our facilitators because I want to check this out. Because it can't possibly be true. They couldn't let just anybody artificially inseminate a cow, would they? So I asked him, and he said, well, yeah. They ask for volunteers. Usually ends up being me. And I look him straight in the eye and I say, can I do it? And he's like, why would you want to? And I say, cocktail party talk. And he says, well, you must go to some pretty interesting parties. And I said, no, not really, but this could liven things up a bit. So he walks away and he's like, yeah, we'll see how you feel once you get there. So we get there. And there's cows everywhere. Who knew? These beautiful black and white Holsteins. Did you know these cows can make like 9 gallons of milk a day per cow? The more you know. So we tour and we see the milking operation, and I'm like, come on, let's get to the good stuff. And then we go up to this big patio that's overlooking the whole operation, and there's a barbecue, which seems kind of rude considering we're overlooking cows. I mean, let's read the pasture, okay? And all the agricultural commissioners are there to congratulate us on, getting through this class and learning more about all of our ag knowledge now. And I'm like, come on, we gotta get to this. I'm worried at this point that they have forgotten, or worse, completely done away with the whole artificial insemination demonstration. But then I see Carl, the guy who's in charge of this operation, leading a beautiful Holstein up to a fenced area. I'm like, it's on. And as Carl is addressing the crowd, and I am not listening, because I am looking at my classmates, and I'm thinking, who am I going to have to beat down to be able to be the one to do this demonstration? Funny thing about that. When most people are confronted with the idea of being up close and personal with a large bovine, they're not really jumping at the chance. So when Carl gets to the part of his talk where he says, "Do we have any volunteers?" Before he could even finish the sentence, my arm was up so fast, it looked like I was jumping at the chance, because I basically was. And so I'm led in front of everybody as they start to prepare me for my cow adventure. And the first thing they do is they give me a large plastic surgical gown to wear. And then they give me a glove. But they don't give me a glove. And they don't give me a glove. And they don't give me a glove. They give me a glove. Because what Carl was saying to all these people while I wasn't listening is that I will be up to my armpit in cow butt for this whole evolution. And as Carl walks behind me to get the instruments for the job, I hear him say, "Welcome to farm life, city girl." Okay. Now, for those of you who have not taken part in the artificial insemination of farm animals, here's a little ag knowledge you can take with you. In your left hand during this is the instrument that carries the live semen. This is basically a scientific turkey baster. And what will happen with this is that it will be inserted into the cow's vagina. Simple enough, very straightforward. The right hand, the one with the glove, goes into the cow's anus and then bends back around to help the turkey baster get further and further inside the cow, and once it's as far in as it can go, you squeeze the trigger, semen comes out, babies are born, you're welcome. So I'm getting ready, and we're talking me through this and everything, and I'm gonna be fine with this. And then all of a sudden I hear something behind me. And I turn around, and there is a very large bull staring at me and grunting. grunting like he has something he wants to say about this situation. And I turn and I look at him and we lock eyes, and I develop a sort of a Vulcan mind meld with him. I can hear his voice inside my head. He's like, she likes it when you blow in her ear.
Oh my God.
Thank you. And I turn back to the cow, and then one of my classmates' iPhone begins to play what is unmistakably Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On. So I did. Did the deed. The glove was off, and now we wait. A few weeks later, I get a phone call from Carl. I'm going to be a dad. So excited. I go around handing out milk duds to all my friends. They absolutely don't know what's going on, but they are happy for me because I'm so excited. 9 months later, it's time to have a baby. Now, the birth of a cow is not a beautiful childbirth experience. It's loud, it's messy, it's smelly, and there are ropes involved. So, like any good dad, I'm there, but I'm off in the back. I am letting the pros do the real work, and they are good at it. And very soon, there's a small black and white miracle on spindly legs in front of me. It's my baby. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. They tell me it's a girl, and I say, great, I'm gonna call her Molly. At which point Carl informs me that we don't name dairy cows, we just put a tag on their ear and refer to them by the number. But again, it's Carl talking, I'm not listening. Because I'm looking at Molly. And she is covered in mucus, and she is kind of gross. And I am smitten. And I'm so happy that it's a girl. That she's a little girl, because I know that as a girl, she's got such a future in front of her. If she had been a boy, this would have been a whole different story, because let's face it, boy cows, not much of a career path. You can be burgers, belts, or boots. Maybe a briefcase. But Molly, oh my little Molly, she had so many options. And I just couldn't wait for her to explore them. Now the thing is, and I want to assure you of this, I know up here, rationally, that I am not Molly's real dad. Molly is a product of science and big dairy. But at that moment, standing in the barn, looking into her big brown eyes, I see a little twinkle. And I know that she knows that she can be anything. She could grow up and she could get into milk or cheese or yogurt. Maybe she could even study abroad and go into like gelato or creme fraiche. And in that moment, I know that she too wants to try all the things. And I think, yeah, that's right. She gets that from me. Thank you.
Seeing Sharon come into class, would you have thought she artificially inseminated a cow? No. These are the amazing things that come out of people. What I also love is Sharon had a really good way of talking about what she was thinking about. That's what can make a story different from someone else's experience. the way that you think about laundry, or the way you think about a drive to work, the way you think about putting on clothing, your internal monologue can really drive a story forward. We heard so much of that when she was talking with Molly and wanting to artificially inseminate this cow, which I don't know if a lot of us would want to do that. So that's what makes it very unique as well. That's everything we have for tonight. Can we hear a big round of applause again for everyone? I highly encourage you all to take classes here at Comedy Sports. They have a wealth of knowledge. They'll make you feel comfortable and welcome and capable. And I also highly encourage you all to dig into the stories that you have, because we communicate with stories, we connect with people in stories and emotion, and I think stories are just one of the most fantastic things out there. So thanks so much for coming and being a wonderful audience, and thank you again to our storytellers.